Number 1. Cincinnati cop calls a black teenager the N-word. Meet Rose Valentino, a 14-year veteran of the Cincinnati police force whose whole career went up in flames after she was caught having a racial outburst on her body cam. You might remember Valentino from the popular 2011 TLC reality series Police Women of Cincinnati.
You go into every situation as if it's the first time, you've dealt with that sort of thing, and it's usually always something new.
But this time, she was in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. And it all started with a frustrating traffic jam. On April 5th, 2022, Rose was on duty, cruising around in her marked police car when she stopped at the District 3 police station. Little did she know, a line of cars was waiting to pick up students from Western Hills University High School. Feeling the pressure, Rose decided to take action and signaled for the vehicles to move by activating her lights and siren. However, the drivers didn't respond as she had hoped, and that's when things began to unravel. Growing audibly angry, Rose rolled down her window and urged the drivers to get moving. Just then, a black male student walked by and decided to give Rose the middle finger. That small act of defiance triggered something deep within her, causing Rose to lose control of her emotions. In a moment of heated rage, captured by her body camera, she uttered a racial slur in response to the teenager's gesture.
Dumb. Oh, I hate him so much. God, I hate this world.
As you can imagine, this did not bode well for Rose. Her actions resulted in her being promptly fired from her position as a police officer. Understandably, people were outraged by her behavior, and the consequences were severe.
What reportedly ticked Officer Valentino off and started this racist rant? A teen standing on the sidewalk who allegedly flipped her the bird.
In her defense, Rose claimed that she had no racial bias affecting her work and that she never used racial slurs. She insisted that this incident was a one-time outburst solely directed at the teenager. However, Rose Valentino had a history of getting into trouble prior to the recent incident. Her personnel file contained 2 reprimands, both for failure of good behavior. The first reprimand was issued in 2019 when she showed body camera footage from a homicide to members of her family. The second reprimand was directly linked to the domestic violence incident involving her sister in 2020. Valentino faced charges of domestic violence and criminal damage in 2020 following a physical altercation with her sister. Although she pled not guilty, her police powers were suspended and she was reassigned to an administrative position while the case was ongoing. Eventually, the charges were reduced to disorderly conduct, leading to her probationary sentence and mandatory participation in anger management classes. These incidents clearly indicate a pattern of misconduct prior to the more recent events. Fast forward 2 years later, and her profanity-filled outburst over a trivial traffic issue. The interim police chief, Teresa Tige, at the time, had seen enough and recommended Rose's termination to city officials. Valentino's captain had initially suggested a 56-hour suspension and mandatory training, hoping she could stay on the force. However, Chief Tige did not agree. In a memo, she expressed, "This leads me to believe that additional training will not change Officer Valentino's behavior," she said, adding that Valentino demonstrated an inability to maintain her composure in the most offensive manner. The chief's recommendation was approved, leading to Rose being dismissed from her position. Though it doesn't help at the very least, Valentino still seemed apologetic for the hurtful words that she said. However, in our next story, we've got an officer who, out of either pure maliciousness or naivete, didn't realize how offensive he's being and refuses to apologize.
Rage tonight over a South Carolina cop caught on camera saying the N-word not once, but twice.
Number 2, Columbia sergeant can't stop saying racial slur. It is sad, but police officers have a long history of being biased against minority groups, especially African-American individuals. The most common instance of this is officers openly using racial slurs and hurtful language, like this incident in South Carolina on August 29, 2020, where an officer confronted a black man outside a bar and used the N-word twice. The altercation took place back when the pandemic was still ravaging communities.
2020 is now the deadliest year in U.S. history.
Mandatory bar curfews were still in place, prohibiting anyone from staying out and drinking past 11 p.m.
Slowing the spread of this virus requires targeted strategies that help lower the risk of transmission. To that end, and in order to drive down numbers and continue our trends moving in the right direction, we are announcing today a statewide curfew on the sale of alcohol at restaurants. Effective this Friday, July the 31st, restaurants must stop selling alcoholic drinks after 11 p.m.
It was during that time when Sergeant Chad Walker, who was on duty clearing out a bar in the 5 Points neighborhood, encountered resistance from some individuals, leading to several heated exchanges. In a body cam video released by the department, Walker responds to a muffled comment from a male patron stating,
"Your hand was on it, sir." And you're a little colorblind, sir.
The situation escalates when Walker approaches a white patron who had also made comments and asks them what their problem is. The customer responds,
"My issue is you talking to these people of color as if they are less than human."
Walker, who is white, used the racially charged slur at least 2 times before the bar patrons asked him not to use that term.
That just called me a
Can you stop saying that word, please? I never told you.
Despite people getting upset, Walker did not back off. He proceeded to confront the black man who allegedly called him the slur first. The man denies ever using that word.
You did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. It's on camera.
60.
On camera.
I never.
Right there. You just did it again.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did.
Dude, there's literally like 17.
You got mad because I told you couldn't drink your drink.
He even attempted to goad Officer Walker into saying it another time.
You want to say it again?
Yeah, actually I do. Say it.
Why?
As tensions continued to rise, the black man was pulled away by his friends before the situation escalated into something much worse. However, Walker persisted in arguing with the crowd, not fully grasping the historical context and weight of the term he was using. He questioned why he couldn't say it back when he had been called the slur. Another customer reminded Walker that he was white and it didn't matter if he was called the N-word, he could not say it back. But Walker was having a hard time understanding that simple statement.
It's a racist word. It's not a racist word. I said he called me that word. Nobody was called that.
Use it. You can't use it.
I can't use it.
Other officers had to intervene and try to separate Walker from the crowd. At the same time, a woman from the crowd tried to defuse the situation as well and asked everyone to just walk away before things turned ugly.
Everyone should walk away. Please, everyone should walk away.
It's all good. You just need to be quiet, bro.
I think everyone should get a real job.
What job do you have?
Columbia Police Chief Skip Holbrook released a statement saying, in part, after watching the video, it's evident the actions of Sergeant Walker were a clear failure to fulfill the expectations and standards of the department. He says the use of the racial slur and failure to de-escalate the situation is inexcusable.
Right up until the end, Officer Walker remained adamant that he hadn't said anything wrong and that he was called a derogatory word first. He kept saying that all he was guilty of was repeating what the black man had said to him. Once the crowd began to disperse and the officers got Walker back to their squad cars, the sergeant made one final remark.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit there and be called derogatory names. But that's cool.
After the videos of the altercation went viral on social media, Sergeant Walker was fired by the Columbia Police Department. The disciplinary board's decision was unanimous, citing violations of core policies related to neglecting duty and being discourteous on duty. The Columbia Police Department's chief, Skip Holbrook, said, "As I've stated before, when setbacks occur and mistakes are made, we must be willing to acknowledge them, fix them, learn from them, and continue to move forward together."
The police chief says the department will continue to hold each other to the professional, ethical, and moral standards expected by our citizens and place the highest priority on maintaining public trust.
If you want to watch more of these videos and keep up with the latest updates for this case, please subscribe to the channel.